This week we're checking out some more of the indie games that were on show at PAX Australia, including Eatvolve, Paperville Panic and Spin Rhythm. Meanwhile, Angelo spends some proper time with an old favourite as Shadow of the Colossus respawns on PlayStation 4. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week saw legislation introduced in the US state of Hawaii that plans to crack down on in-game loot boxes. There are two pairs of new bills. One set simply requires prominent labelling of games containing randomised purchase systems, as well as disclosure on the probability rates of receiving each reward. The other set of bills would see the sale of these games restricted to people over the age of 21, that is, bringing things into line with other forms of gambling within the US. Politician Chris Lee is pushing for these bills to get through and explains that, as a long-time gamer, he's seen the industry evolve from one that seeks to create new things to one that's begun to exploit people, especially children, to maximise profit. With more than half US states currently looking at implementing some sort of loot box legislation, it will be interesting to see what happens to these Hawaiian bills. We don't currently have a time frame, but when it happens, you'll know. And moving right along, we do have a better look at the remastered version of Shadow of the Colossus a little later in this episode, but just in case there was any question, it is already a rip-roaring success for Sony. Looking just at sales figures coming out of the UK, and even then only looking at the physical retail copies sold, the PS4 remaster has sold 73% more in its first week than the original PS2 release did back in February 2006. There are obviously a number of contributing factors to these numbers, but the big takeaway message here is that there well and truly is a market for remasters of old favourites. Take that, naysayers. On a similar topic, it is worth mentioning here that there is a pretty serious rumour doing the rounds that Spyro the Dragon will be getting a trilogy remaster a little later this year too. Activision has reportedly taken a lot of notes about the success of last year's Crash Bandicoot release and are hoping that lightning will strike twice. But it's not all good news for fans of vintage games. Night Dive Studios has announced that, following a successful Kickstarter campaign and more than $1.3 million in funding, development on the new System Shock has stalled. Maybe we were too successful, says Stephen Kick, CEO of the developer. Maybe we lost our focus. The team has now been officially placed on hiatus while they figure out what they need to do in order to return to its original vision. In what sounds ominously like famous last words, Kick explains that we are taking a break, but not ending the project. We'll keep you posted.
You are not welcomed here. Remove yourself.
In quick news, it sounds like something is happening in the Warcraft 3 camp, with a significant number of international players being invited to Blizzard HQ in Anaheim for some sort of secret online event. We're told that something will happen at the end of February, and many fingers are crossed for an announcement regarding a Warcraft 3 remaster, the long overdue development of Warcraft 4, or even some sort of a mobile game. Ubisoft is resting a little on its laurels following the announcement that the massive active fan base for Rainbow Six Siege continues to grow, prompting the studio to delay any possible plans for a sequel at this time. Similarly, For Honor has shaped up to be a bit of a sleeper hit for the publisher, with more than 1 million unique gamers logging in every month and more than 7.5 million having played the game since its launch just a year ago. CD Projekt Red continues to improve its spin-off title Gwent, with new gameplay mode Gwent Arena currently in testing. The draft-based mode will let you build your ideal deck with no regard for factions, rarity or duplicates, and then you can jump right into a match against the Man of Glass, Gaunter O'Dim. Taking part in the arena will cost you 150 or around $2, and you will be able to play through to 9 successful contracts or 3 player deaths. Even if you don't complete a single contract, you'll still take home a minimum of 1 keg, but the results add up quickly, including 1 randomly chosen legendary card if you win all 9. Microsoft has announced that even though Sea of Thieves will launch without microtransactions, you won't need a telescope to see them on the horizon. The swashbuckling pirate adventure will get its first major content update around 3 months after launch, and that will bring with it the dreaded real-world money transactions. We are reassured that, despite the piratical theme, there won't be any loot box type random content, with Rare instead sticking with cosmetic rewards only. Or, to be more specific, microtransaction items will have emotional value, not mechanical value. You will also be able to earn paid currency through normal play, but no details just yet on how exactly that one will work. And finally this week, some unexpected good news. Remember THQ, the video game developer that created amazing games like the Red Faction and Saints Row series? Remember how it declared bankruptcy back in 2012, prompting a surreal auction of all manner of games? Sega picked up Relic in the Warhammer 40k series, WWE and Evolve went to Take-Two Interactive, Ubisoft got South Park, Koch Media snapped up both the publishing rights for Metro as well as its developer Volition. The rest got broken down into smaller pieces. Gearbox Software took home Homeworld, 505 Games got drawn to life, and Nickelodeon went to Activision, and so on. The majority of assets went to Nordic Games, which changed its name a few years ago to THQ Nordic, just to make sure there was a bit of consistency there. And now, 2 years after that, there is even more consistency in the THQ chapter of video game history. THQ Nordic has just acquired Koch Media, meaning that developer Deep Silver is now back under a THQ umbrella, bringing with it Saints Row, Dead Island, Homefront, and the exclusive license for the Metro franchise. At this stage, there are no public plans for any money-saving measures, significant changes to any brands, or any job cuts. On the surface at least, it looks like THQ Nordic just wanted to get the family back together, and that's a bit nice. For more information on any of these stories or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
I'm here with Al, and he's about to tell us about Eatvolve, this cute little game that's right behind me. Al, tell us about this game.
Hey, it's a eat 'em up, so you jump on other creatures' heads and take on their body, form, and abilities.
So it's an eat 'em up, you say? So,
Yeah.
So are there any other games in the eat 'em up genre that you take influence from?
Yes, I mean, it takes influences from a lot of different games. Kirby's got that mechanic. There's an old game called Evo, which has a similar progression through eating and evolving. The biggest influence has been Spelunky, which the sort of progression of abilities and then the dying and having to start again. I'm trying to bring that to like a simpler form with the mobile.
What's the aim of the game in that case? Because I'm seeing a lot of people just kind of jumping around and stuff like that. Is there going to be an aim to this game?
Yep, so I'll have an end boss and hopefully another hidden end boss. Something for the players who want to reach the end goal. But there's also the creature creator element, so different creatures are in different areas and you have to explore, discover how to reach those areas in order to make your favorite creature. And I'll be embellishing that side of it as well.
It's a pretty interesting concept.
So it was originally an idea from the 2012 Game Jam, Global Game Jam, which was the theme of Ouroboros. And although we didn't go ahead with the game at that time, the idea stuck in my head. And more recently, I started to learn programming, and I thought I could try and attempt this game. And it's just sort of grown from there.
I'm looking over at the screen now, and you've got a vertical screen going on with a SNES controller hooked up to it, but you've also got some mobile devices there as well. So,
yep.
So where's this game aiming to come out for?
So right now you can play it on itch.io, just search Eatvolve, and that's an in-development version. I update it every month or so. The vertical screen it's been designed around how we hold mobile phones, but it started to get a bit of interest on itch for a gamepad, the PC build, so I figure I may as well do that as well. But I'm aiming to get it out, like the complete game on iOS and Steam, and then I'll look at Android and perhaps other platforms after that, once I deal with all the launch bugs and all that.
it looks pretty cutesy and all that kind of stuff, but then you jump on something and then they just explode in blood. So what's the context there?
Well, like I like cute things, but you know, the animal kingdom is a bit gruesome, and you know, it's a little bit subversive, I guess. Like my son, he's 5, he loves the blood. It's you know, and the word cute has a meaning of grotesque. You know, so it's kind of, you know, it's meant to be a bit fun, but a bit disturbing. You're eating your friends, your children, or you know, it can all get nasty.
It's literally a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
What is Spin Rhythm?
I guess we just tried to put a bit of a kind of twist on the rhythm game, the rhythm genre. Shart's had the idea, he's the artist in our team, he's had the idea for the game for a long time, and we just thought, let's really polish it up and get it showing at PAX. Basically, it's just a rhythm game where you control a wheel. You can hit red or blue colors depending on where you're spinning. You can tap for rhythm as well, and you can get hold notes, and you can do spin up, spin down. So the combination of all those just creates a bit of a twist on the rhythm genre. Hasn't really been much in the rhythm genre in Australia or in the West, I guess, since Guitar Hero and that kind of thing. So I know it's still big in Japan at the moment, but we just thought we'd make a new rhythm game.
So it's coming out on iOS and Android, is it?
Yeah, we're aiming for iOS, Android. Hoping to get in touch with Nintendo here at PAX to talk about the Switch dev kit too, which would be really exciting because, I don't know, Switch, I really enjoy playing on Switch. I think it would work really well with the touch screen.
Yeah, it sounds like it would work really well. You can see you got a turntable controller set up here today. Whose idea was that? Okay,
so Sharthy's sister has these decks, and we just thought we'd plug it in, try it out, and you know, we plugged it in, it came up as a MIDI controller, and Steve, the programmer, just looked up Unity MIDI controller plugins, and they worked really well, and within like a couple of hours he had this wheel working. So we could actually set it up that you could plug in your own DJ decks and actually just calibrate them yourself and use them as a controller on PC, which would be really cool because it's not quite the same using keyboard and mouse. It's really precise, it's very master racy, but the wheel's the best way, I reckon.
Hi, I'm Chloe and I'm here for Player Attack, and of course I'm here at PAX and I'm here with the lovely Meredith from Paperville Panic. How are you going, Meredith?
Good, really good. It's been a crazy couple of days, obviously, as you can tell from the madness around us. But we've been so blown away by how everyone's receiving the game, and all the feedback has been awesome.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what the game's about?
Yeah, so Paperville Panic is a game where you play as a rookie firefighter in a town that is made completely out of paper, and on your first day you encounter your first fire, which the town has never experienced before, so it goes about as well as you would imagine.
I can imagine very chaotic. I'll be honest, I've played the demo. It was a lot of fun. It was very immersive. What's the reaction been from the crowd so far?
Honestly, people come out of it and they're laughing. We were saying that we probably needed to have like a profanity counter, because as soon as fire was coming at people, they were doing like crazy dodges, and it was absolutely hilarious. But everyone has just been like, wow, whether they've played for the first time, whether they've never played VR before, either way, it's been a really, really positive response.
That's exactly what you want.
100%.
And so would you say this is more aimed towards children or adults or everybody?
At the moment, we're kind of aiming for sort of that 15 up age bracket. We're looking at it almost from a South Park angle. The art's really cute, it looks really beautiful, but it is a little bit cheeky. If you think about the way Pixar do a lot of their films, there's a lot of jokes that will go right over kids' heads. So the demo definitely is very safe for kids. They can definitely jump in. But the full game will have a little bit more of that tongue-in-cheek and a little bit more edge to it, I guess.
Yeah, I think when I encountered my first death or corpse in the game, I was just like, oh dear.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. We wanted to subvert that kind of normal expectation of, oh, this is such a cutesy, wonderful, lovely game, with like, oh my gosh, these people are real paper people. And it's funny, we've had to ask ourselves questions that you would never have to ask, like, what is recycled paper? Like, someone will just turn around in the office and bring up something like that and everyone is like, oh my goodness, like, what is it? So it's been really fun exploring all the aspects of that world and what that looks like.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit about the world building process, because you've created something that's completely unique.
Yeah, it was really interesting. When we first started concepting, the team really wanted to do something that had a common thread and a bit of nostalgia to it. And so they were thinking about what did we want to be when we grew up. And, you know, you've got policemen and you've got all these games about being a cop. And, you know, you've got emergency room kind of focused games about being a doctor. And we got to firefighter and we were like, there actually really hasn't been anything for a while. And then someone just kind of piped out, like, what if the world was made of paper? And that was the second that it just all started to fall into place. And from there, it's been step by step working out how we make that world feel real, how we make it look real, especially with paper, which is really hard to texture. And you can't just put a blank color because that's just a color, it's not paper. So playing around with all the different ways we can do that has definitely been a tough part of the process, but really rewarding as well.
Has created that rich environment, which is just so exciting. So I have to ask, when is the game going to drop?
Yes, so the free demo that we're showing at PAX over the weekend will be on Steam on Monday, so anyone with HTC Vive can download it, try it if they couldn't make it here. The actual game itself is going into early access in December, and from there more and more content will be added until it's at a point where we go, yes, this is the game. So we really wanted the content that we rolled out to feel very polished and to have a lot of soul to it and a lot of narrative. There's a lot of VR out there that's either just focusing on the minigames angle or it's very much just a narrative experience, so we really want to make sure we merge both and give players the sort of VR content they really deserve.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what we're missing at the moment in the VR. So how many modules do you think the gameplay is going to be?
So at this point, we're not 100% decided. We are working in sort of a mission element. So ideally, we'd love to do sort of 5 or 6 standalone missions. Nothing set in stone, and every day we find that we're shifting that a little bit, whether it's cutting it back or adding more. But we want to make sure the replayability is there. We want to make sure there's scores. We want to find ways that the player can either throw someone in for the first time to try the demo, or they can jump in and they can continue to come back to the world and experience it in a myriad of different ways.
Excellent. Look, I'm already hooked, but I might be a little bit biased.
So that's fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Meredith, and we'll see you soon when the game drops.
Yes, I would love that. I really want people to see it and try it and enjoy it, because we do it because we love it. So it's awesome to see the community responding well.
Okay, so the fire is real. The fire is real!
Shadow of the Colossus came at a time when a new generation of consoles were on the way in 2005. It was still loved and praised by many who played it for its minimalist design but engaging gameplay. Come 2011 and it re-released alongside its older sibling Eco as an HD remaster. Now, In 2018, Shadow of the Colossus has been completely remade for the PS4 and revitalized in a way that says this is the way the game was meant to be played, over a decade since it first came out. As the game kicks off, we're presented with absolutely beautiful visuals of the cursed world the game sets up. Our protagonist rides with the body of his dead beloved in the hopes that some sort of deity will bring her back to life. He makes a deal to destroy all 16 colossi this higher being orders, and without any questions, it's what we as the players set out to accomplish. While on the surface, Shadow of the Colossus may seem to be a game about slaying giant beasts in exotic settings, but there's so much more to the experience. The game, without question, tasks us with killing powerful beings who quietly lurk in their designated habitats. With each kill, you begin to ask yourself if what you're doing is right. These supposed monsters are doing nothing to harm us until their lives are threatened. And that's really what drives the narrative forward in a game that has very little to say until its final moments. Throughout the whole experience, the main character has no one to interact with other than his horse, leaving us to ponder and drink in what this world holds between each boss fight. What I'm trying to say is, the game says a lot without saying much at all. And that's the main reason I was driven to push through the game, despite the guilt I felt with each slay. As I mentioned earlier, this game looks fantastic. Kudos to Bluepoint Games who ported the 2011 versions of Team Ico's first two games as well. But unlike those original remasters, the presentation in this 2018 release have been completely overhauled. New textures, new lighting, and new modelling of the world that are absolutely complemented by the PS4 hardware. I played this on my 2013 PS4 system and was impressed by the experience. The colossi themselves looked more convincing and terrifying, especially when it came to mounting them and being tossed about in their fur. The only complaint I have in the visuals of Shadow of the Colossus is the protagonist's movements. He still looks as ragdollish as ever, and there were frequently weird moments when he would glitch out towards a ledge, flinging around while I was just casually getting him to step down. And while I'm mentioning the controls, these were what really needed the biggest overhaul over the original in my opinion. But unfortunately the game still feels just as awkward and frustrating as my first experience with the 2011 version. Most of the control problems stem from the horse riding, though I still found myself cursing in confusion when I couldn't climb a wall or Colossus limb the way I meant to. It baffles me that in 2018, after so many 3D games that include horse riding as a main feature, that we can still have such badly behaving steeds. It felt like I was trying to drive a car with cut brakes and no power steering. Thankfully, most of the open world is sprawling with minimal obstacles, but in the few instances I would navigate through a path, I'd end up turning in the wrong direction or not really moving at all. And then there's the camera. Similarly, the camera feels like it's been kept untouched from the first version of the game just to make us feel like we're playing something from 2005 still. In fact, I'd go so far as to suggest that given how much I had to fight with the camera to not whip around so far or to keep it looking in the direction I want it to, that it is actually the secret 17th Colossus of the game. But I guess that's just me being facetious. And the reason why I'm so salty about those two aspects of the game's controls is because they're so critical to the experience, and I had a satisfying time otherwise. Shadow of the Colossus has such a barren yet lively world that even though you're aware your character doesn't ever interact with anyone, you don't really care because your objectives and the world design are so clear. That said, there are plenty of secrets to discover and difficulty challenges to take on. I managed to finish the game in just under 6 hours and was satisfied with the experience given the clear direction presented right from the get-go. What sets Shadow of the Colossus apart from so many other games is its sense of scale. Sure, other open world type games might have a larger world to explore with rich environments and side quest galore, but each new Colossus brings with it a different puzzle with which to solve in order to mount and defeat it. Inevitably, they all end with just stab the glowy bit, but it's the trick of figuring out how a Colossus environment ultimately lets it down so that you, as a minuscule human, can conquer it. If you haven't yet played this game and can get past the clunky controls, you're in for a real treat. And if you have played it, but it was years ago on a different system, then you might not find much new here except the updated visuals and a set of hidden collectibles. But one thing is for certain. This is the definitive Shadow of the Colossus experience.
that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, Nate and the 2-hour team will let you know whether Stick Fight the game is worth your time, and we take a look at something a bit different as we spend a night in the woods. In the meantime, you can catch us at playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Also, if you want to support Player Attack, you can find us on Patreon and help us bring you the latest in gaming news, plus all these wonderful interviews and reviews from the world of video games. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.